up and ready to go. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome back to Dyson Sphere Program. Let's click resume and then try to figure out what we've been doing last time. Oh, yes, we had just started making missile turrets. And, well, actually we hadn't been making missile turrets, we've been making just the missiles, right? So we don't have fully automated missile turrets yet, but hopefully we won't need too many of them. Hopefully. It actually should be pretty easy to automate them though, so I might just go and do that. So it's steel plates, electric motors, circuit boards, and engines. Steel plates, electric motors, circuit boards, and engines. Alright, so circuit boards are here, engines are there. Electric motors are probably around here somewhere. Yeah, right here. So let's expand this belt forwards a bunch. So that can go all the way up to there. And then we just need to find the steel plates and get that going. So are those... No, those are belts for some reason. Okay, right, that's the storage belt. Okay. Research. That makes sense. We finished titanium ammo box research. I don't think that's especially useful for me, but now we've got it. Okay, so are all of these guys advanced technology that I can't do yet? Up here, ray receiver is possible. Okay, so ray receiver is the only technology available that I haven't done that doesn't require, that isn't unlocking yellow cubes or using yellow cubes. And then we can move on to the upgrades for the same things that don't require or use yellow cubes, and then we will have to worry about actually making science. So, where are the steel plates? I'm pretty sure we had steel plates on this whole thing. Are they, like, out over this way, or... I guess if we go all the way back to here... Oh, we actually don't have steel plates. Alright, so let's fix that. That's an important thing for the main bus to have. It's kind of incredible that it doesn't. So we just fly over here, and those are made in a smelter, right? That's how that traditionally works. Yeah, made in smelting facility. Alright, so we need to... I think our smelting facility blueprint doesn't work for this on the main bus situation, so let's set up a new one. So just do that. Then you need an input belt there and an output belt there. Although actually this whole thing needs to be moved back slightly because we need room on the belts for the spray coater, which I believe... Is that lined up? No, that's not lined up properly, I don't think. Let's move that forwards so that we have plenty of space. The spray coater goes there and then connects across to that. Okay, so now we can put in another couple arc smelters. And that should be plenty for now, at least. So let's get all these attachments in. So that, and then we go across to the other belt. Okay, so now these arc smelters just get set to steel plates. like so. And they get a power pole, which can just go like there-ish. So that's all powered up. And now we just put iron plates in, which should be somewhere along the main bus in this area. There we go. So we grab this, bring that out to... Let's just bring it out to there for now so that we can then get closer in to finish off the placement. So you go all the way up to there, and then we get a splitter, which lines up like that, so that it can output its lower side into that. And now we have steel plates. We just need to run back here. So, okay, what is this? This is the combustible unit belt. So let's just move that a little bit forward so that we know where it is. And then one step past that, we have a splitter for the steel to go into. So the steel will come down this way and then go into the splitter. And that will be steel on the main bus, just like that. And yeah, so that should be everything all worked out and fine. So next we can add on a blueprint for the bus assembler rows, which can just squeeze in as close as they can be, which is there. So all of this stuff has to get built. And then we need to connect those belts up so that the replicator can be filled. Okay, now we have to set these to make missile turrets. So you two make missile turrets, just like that. And now we need to start bringing all these belts in. So the steel plates are one of the things we need. So let's have that go just... These weird little situations like this are always very weird, but not a big deal. So steel just goes across there and connects in. Then it was green circuits, engine units, and something else. Ah, yes, electric motors. Okay. So the engines come down this line and stay at altitude 1. So you come down to there and you get a splitter. Then we just connect all this stuff in. So there, and then down there. Engines, check. Next up, we need the green circuits, which is this one. You come up to there, and then you get split down, and I need to do this from an angle where I can see what's going on. So there we are. And that just goes down like that. Okay, and then finally we need the electric motors, which are up here. So we take this belt forwards to the same general vicinity as all the rest of them. Then we get that connected up. And that should give us missile turrets. Alright, so that is going. And they seem to be running now. So now we just have to go over here and get this same sort of setup where we have a splitter with a storage chest on top of it, limited to like 1 stack probably. And then you can get a logistics distributor on top, though I don't know how much that's going to be needed, but might as well. And now we just have to bring this belt up, which is going to be easier said than done because of this whole, the way I designed this stupid blueprint is very annoying. Alright, if I click it there, that works. So you come all the way up here, and then you loop into the splitter. And there we go. Let's just get... Okay, we apparently don't have any Tesla towers right now, but that's fine. So we now have plenty of missile turrets, and more being produced. Alright, so let's fly up to where we made the Tesla towers from. So we can get all the way up here, and then it's going to be somewhere in this blob. And they might actually be automatically delivered to me if I'm lucky. Are any of you guys Tesla towers? No, I don't even have the unique logistics space things for that. Alright, where are Tesla tower production? Is it down here? It shouldn't be down here. I could have sworn I did it earlier. Alright, where are you? I see wind turbines. I see wind turbine production. I see all sorts of belts and stuff. There's absolutely no way that this... Oh yeah, no, here it is. Grab another stack of 100 of those, and we're good to go. Alright, so now we can fly back down, and we're going to have to stand next to a charging thing for a bit. Because this is all... Flying about at a reasonable speed is very energy intensive, it turns out. Alright, so we can actually... There's another one over this way, which we can stand in instead, if we don't get stuck between a couple of machines. Alright, so we stand in here, and we can get you out there. That's actually probably going to be in the way. Yeah, that's going to be in the way. We can't have you there. We will instead have you just connect from that one and go out there. Alright, so now we've got all that. This is working reasonably well. And the proliferator also seems to occasionally be doing its thing, which is cool. So now we've got missile turrets, and we've got missiles, so we shouldn't need to worry about that. Let's see here. So in our personal inventory, I picked up a stack of turrets, right? We have 20 missile turrets. Yes. Alright, so then we also want to grab some of those for our personal inventory, and then we're going to fly all the way up to here, because this is where we expect the guys to attack from. Now, in theory, we shouldn't need the missiles to be all that close because of the signal tower. So, like, if I put the missile turrets back here, for example, can I just reread the signal tower description? Form a data chain with missile turrets for information sharing. Alright. Is there like a tutorial? Where is the button to find tutorials? To Statistics, mecha, screenshot. Okay, I have no idea. So we are just going to set these guys down. Okay, we're going to have one up sort of in the front just in case it's needed. And then we're going to have a blob of a couple just sort of back here. I want them to be still within range of the signal tower, but not directly on the front lines, just because I want to see what that does. We could probably build them in this gap here. And I guess in there as well. Alright. Now we need to worry about actually getting stuff into them. So we can start by filling these guys manually. But I don't want them to be 50 at a time. Let's give them each 25 for now. How about we do that? So you get 25, you get 25. And at some point we're going to be setting up some clever system for getting these guys filled, which is probably going to involve, what's it called? Like the planetary logistics, which is a research that I've done, but I haven't actually constructed yet. Because currently the drone ports are definitely not going to be able to come all the way from down there, all the way up to here. So if we were to make planetary logistics stations, I believe that can go anywhere on the planet. And, okay, so let's have that be our next goal then. So, planetary logistics stations is steel, titanium plates, processors, and then some weird purple thing. So the weird purple thing is particle containers, which I believe we can do. I'm pretty sure we've made graphene already. So we can make particle containers, and I think we technically made titanium ingots, but I don't think we gave it enough titanium. But that should definitely be doable. And then logistics drones, we need steel plates, processors, and thrusters, which are steel plates and copper. Okay, and then there's also reinforced thrusters, which... This isn't like an optional thing, right? What do those reinforced thrusters do? I researched them at some point and it said what they did, but I assume they're just like a prereq for something at some point. Propels logistics vessels to travel between planets. Okay, so would that be... No, it's not integrated logistics system. Is it interstellar logistics? Yeah, it's interstellar logistics vessel, which does stuff between planets. Alright, so that's basically... We don't need to worry about reinforced thrusters for now. We can just worry about make thrusters, and I think we also do need to make processors, which means crystalline components as well. Okay, so let's fly back down, and at some point, hopefully I'll stop needing to do this. Okay, so now we're down in this area. So the... What are those things called? Microcrystalline components. They require high purity silicon and copper. And I'm fairly certain we haven't already built them, right? Okay, we also might need to do something about the iron, but here is... Yeah, so this is the high purity silicon, and it does not go anywhere yet. So we are going to bring this belt all the way forwards, and our construction drones will get on that eventually. Need to make sure not to accidentally bring it down to the wrong altitude. So we just keep on running forwards. And this is why we have designated lanes for all of these, so that we don't have to worry about ever crossing over other belts. It just goes. Okay, so that is all designated at least. So now we can go and get the assembler row blueprint, pop you down there, and that should, I mean, it's going to take ages to build everything, and we need to do more belt upgrading to free our availability for the other ones. So this belt can get upgraded, and now we have enough tier 2 belts to build all of those. And I wonder if there's some way of like automatically upgrading belts in a blueprint. Doesn't look like it. Oh well. We'll have to fix that. Actually, let's just fix that now. So this should be simple, right? You just pop you down. We upgrade all the belts. And that's you as well. Alright, so then everything gets placed. And now we can create blueprint. Actually, while we're here, let's get this belt here to go out just one further so that it's easier to grab onto. And now we can create blueprint. And this is bus assembler lane V3. Bus assembler lane V3. And it gets a picture of an assembly machine on it. Save blueprint. And there we go. So now we can dismantle that one. And that will be a thing that we have access to forever now. So we go into here to make our microcrystalline components. Paste those across. And did these belts ever get finished? Absolutely not. But we're just going to keep giving them more tasks to do, so hopefully they'll get on that eventually. So you go here, and that connects across. And then we just have this belt looping out, and it can go over to that one. And then we have the copper belt, so that's you. Come forwards to here. And then go into a splitter. Like that. And then you can come out of that splitter. And onto the belt. Okay, so copper is in. I have to imagine the microcrystalline components are still very much a work in progress. I don't even see my construction drones, but here they are now. Alright, let's just, now that all the stuff that would also need to be built for these has already been done, now we might as well run through and get everything built up. And obviously it's a lot quicker when you're close by because the drones don't have to go halfway across the planet. So there we are. That is the silicon headed down, and it can actually travel as fast as I can fly. Actually, like exactly the same speed. That's kind of funny. So now we're here. Now that stuff is here. And we've got microcrystalline components coming out. Alright, I need to stand in a charging port for a little bit. And while I do that, we can get in bus assembler lane V3 again. So we put that there. I don't even remember. Oh, right, we're doing processor, right? So it's just that and green circuits. It's relatively straightforward. Alright, we've charged enough. Now let's head over to here, because we do need to get these crystalline components out onto the bus, which is going to be one tick further than the steel, which is going to be like out here. So we get a splitter into there. And this is 1,000 times easier to click on now. And I don't know why I put that splitter all the way back there.
Research complete.
But sure. Alright, ray receiver done. And unless that unlocked something, which it didn't. So now it's just looking at upgrades. So cosmic exploration is 1,000,000 years away. Mecha core, no. Mechanical frame, no. Inventory capacity, no, no. Mass construction, yes. Alright, so let's just queue that up. And then let's look. No, nothing there. Vertical construction, no. Distribution range, no. Logistics carrier, engine, and capacity, no. Vein utilization, no. Alright, so now it's down into the weapon damage stuff, which let's just queue all of these up, because why not? And that's as much as we can queue, so we can leave it be. And now... Oh wait, no, I know why it's all the way back there. This is... I connected the wrong belt up. It's supposed to be this one with the microcrystalline components, which is going into there. So these guys are going to have their own splitter that they need to go into in a little bit. So you are processors. So that goes in, and then we get to do our thing where we have them go along their bus lane for a little bit, and then they just like immediately come down and let's see here. I guess they just go in like that. So then we get the green circuits in. So that's this row. And that will be coming out to somewhere over here where they go into a splitter and I'll go across. Alright, so then the splitter comes out at ground level and into a random belt. And there we go. Processors done. So the processors are now being built. And they get their own splitter out this way, which is just going to go into there. And I dismantled one too many belts when I built this. Right, so you go into there. And then all those belts get made, and now we have processors on the main bus. Okay, so processors check. So we need the weird purple thing in order to make the planetary logistics stations. And technically we have everything we need to make ray receivers now, which could give us Dyson swarm power. Although I think our power grid is doing reasonably well at the moment, right? It actually might be struggling, because that's a lot of discharge. The energy accumulated is dropping relatively quickly. So I guess we'll have to see what's going on with that in a minute. But for now, let's just keep chugging away. So we need the purple thing. The purple thing is all stuff we already have. Particle containment or whatever it's called. So you just go in like that, I think. Had some weird rotation that time, but it should be fine. So you get to be particle containment. And apparently there's some alternate recipe for it, which I'm not going to worry about yet. So you are EM turbine, copper, and graphene. So copper is right here, as usual, never very far away. So we just get this belt up and running at altitude 1, as usual. Then you come out to here, and we actually do kind of need you to twist around a little bit to not block us off from other things, which is annoying. Alright, EM turbines and graphene. I was thinking, I've tried to say both words at the same time, and I ended up saying turbine. Alright, so EM turbines, I thought I used them more recently than this. Here they are. So this belt goes forwards all the way out to here. Fortunately, it's not as far as some of the belts we've been building. Still not short, though. So this just... what have I done? I have to chain dismantle that because it got dropped down to level 0. So now we run back to here and let's try that again. Here are the EM turbines. And something weird happened with EM drives too. I don't know why all this weird stuff is happening, but whatever. Okay, so that is that. Now we get our splitter in, and we connect you across. So that can then loop down and just across this way and then into there. My poor construction drones are doing a lot of work right now. Going very, very far away to do their construction tasks. There we go. That's all built up. And now we run back this way to finish off this belt. And there we go. So now we just have to look for the graphene, which should be... So this was our hydrogen destroyer. So the graphene should be close, right? Just like a little bit back this way. Yeah, here it is. Alright, so it's this belt, which then goes forwards to here, and now we have to expand it past its first initial use. Okay, so that can just keep on expanding. I need to get in the habit of clicking these into place in front of me, as opposed to walking past them and clicking them in behind me, because it just makes it all work out a lot nicer. Okay, so that is forwards pretty much exactly correct. So now we just get in our splitter and do these last little formalities to get this all set up. So that can go into that input, and that is another various input constructed. It'll also be useful for the planetary shield generator at some point, which we'll probably want to make eventually, but I'm not exactly waiting on it. Alright, so now we have processors, we have particle containers, we have steel, we have titanium all the way down on the other side of the factory. And also, I am low on power right now, so let me stand under that for a little bit. Alright, and there was something that I was thinking about. Oh, we actually have a dark fog attack coming any second now. So let's charge up and then start flying up north to see how all of our various defenses work out now, since we have upgraded a fair amount. And we also need to seriously start worrying about, like, this bus that we've constructed is getting quite wide. Like, we might actually just straight up run into their base at some point in the near future, which would not be ideal, to say the least. So we might need to move our defenses somehow to account for dark fog. Okay, so now we're up here, and we can continue recharging. Okay, so this, it's got its 6 precision drones, and do you have...
Dark fog cluster is launching an assault.
Dark fog is attacking now, so let's see what happens. 60 units incoming, and they are coming this way. There's a little bit of an arrow. I don't know where that arrow is pointing. Sort of pointing off to a sort of random part of this. Maybe it's pointing to the dark fog base or something. Who knows? Okay, so now we've got this, and our missiles are working, including the ones that are back here, although seemingly not as much. And yeah, missiles seem to be quite effective. Let's see. Oh, we do have missiles coming from the exact opposite side of the planet. That's funny. Quite useful, but also quite funny. So we've gotten more assorted stuff from that. So that's all good. Dark fog attack dealt with. Now we fly back down. And actually, I want to set up some way of, like, more properly dealing with the dark fog base, as opposed to just having them attack some random corner that they seem to like attacking. So let's stand here by a charging port and enter planet map mode. So we are here. The dark fog is like 90 degrees away, looks like. And this... So, I mean, if we double the length of our bus, we'll hit dark fog. Which, I mean, is definitely not completely implausible, but it'll take a while before we're truly over there. But I kind of want to try poking them and see what happens. So, let's set up some defenses here so that, like, no matter what happens, we don't explode, right? So we are going to get you... These guys can snap onto belts, right? Okay, so this is this going to be a temporary setup? If it's a temporary setup, I want it to be like directly in front of my base in order to protect it. If it's not a temporary setup, I want it to be over this way. Okay, let's have it over this way for now, just because it's probably going to be temporary anyways, but it doesn't hurt to make sure that nothing weird happens. Alright, so we've got 4 you guys, and you are powered up. Then we get a box, or actually no, the way this works best is we have a splitter which feeds into you, and then on top of the splitter there's a box, and then in the box goes plenty of ammo for everyone. And let's go and grab even more from our ammo stockpile over here. Okay, so then we get that in. And this should basically just never run out of ammo for missiles. Then, did we ever like automate Gauss turrets? I don't think we did. So let's... Iron plates, gear wheels, green circuits. None of those are very difficult to get, of course. So let's pick up a bunch of green circuits, a bunch of iron plates, and I want to pick up the gear wheels directly, just so I don't have to manual craft 1,000 of them, which would take quite some time. So now we have that. We should be able to manual craft a bunch of these. Oh, we also need the what are they? Not these, but the things that you make from these, which should be like
flight mode.
Right up here somewhere. Let's see, here they are. It's just kind of hard to find things on the bus sometimes. So yeah, now we can make a bunch of these. So let's craft those up. And we have 14. We need to clear out our inventory again. So let's get
Application complete.
Just like a random box somewhere out of the way. Like back here maybe. Alright, you and you go away. If we actually just sort, that'll be better. We can take some of these random old-fashioned belts and stuff out. And just like one-ofs of various items that we don't need. And there we go. Now space is looking a lot better. Okay, so got all this. Then fly down this way. This quick temporary setup is taking a lot longer than I intended, but I don't want it to be insecure. Can I also craft a battlefield analysis base? Is that difficult? Not especially difficult. So we just need to grab... was it those? I know it was microcrystalline components. It might have been processors. So if we could grab all those... Oh, it was engine units. Which should be right here. So we can grab some of those. Craft up one of you.
Flight mode.
Okay, so now we can run up here and set up our Gauss turrets as well. And those can be like, I don't know, this is kind of a silly setup, but okay, that's actually not facing the way I want it to. So what I want it to be is like along there and then they just go in like this. And then over here we get our inputs. So we go like that. And then that belt connects up. Now I'm not carrying that much ammo, so that could be an issue. And we apparently need these power poles to be just ever so slightly further up. Okay, so they've got 4 or 5 shots each, which should be enough to at least keep us mostly safe. And so then we can pop down a battlefield analysis base here. And we can just pop that right there. And give you a precision drone setup, which we're going to need to actually fly over to pick some of those guys up. Where did I leave those? They're all the way back here. Alright, so we pick those up and we can bring them over. Alright. And we can then throw those guys in. Actually, can we just throw them in there and then it'll even have reinforcements when needed? Okay. So that's all good. Now, power, I've never seen the power flicker, and it's currently charging. So that's a good sign. I could make another signal tower, but that might make them actually attack over here, which I don't want. So, let's just stand into there. And can I craft like another wireless power thing or two, just for the purposes of like expanding this line further forwards? We want to have power that runs that distance, but we don't necessarily want to like have what's it called, 1,000 power lines that we have to constantly be placing. Okay, so we should be all set. So the plan is simple. We are going to go forwards until they attack us. And actually, we want this to be sort of consistently down in this area, just because I don't want to have to remove these power towers later. Right? I just want these to be things that exist. So we run this forwards, and we run it a little bit further forwards, and Dark Fog is like right over there, and our base is right over there. So I'm like currently halfway, slightly less than halfway between Dark Fog and the base. Alright, let's craft up just as many of these as I can, I think. And I have the ability to throw down missile turrets real fast if I need to. Actually, we can just... I have plenty of missile turrets, right? So I can just get a couple of these guys set up. Where are my rocket units, actually? Apparently I did not bring them. Fantastic.
Flight mode.
Alright, well let's fly back and pick up a couple of rocket ammo. Alright, so pick up some missile sets.
Flight mode.
And we are just going to creep forwards. Now that we have these guys set up, it should be at least, like, relatively safe. Okay, so we've got those split. Now, you get missiles you get missiles.
All turrets have a powerful ability, supernova.
Yes,
Turrets
okay.
will accumulate a large amount of energy for a short time once supernova has been enabled. After accumulating, turrets will enter burst mode and fire extremely quickly for several seconds.
Yep,
Note,
that's fine.
supernova costs a massive amount of power.
Alright, I think I've
It
already
can't
heard
be
this
used if
tutorial or
power
something
supply is
similar.
too low.
I think I've already heard something similar to this tutorial, so I don't know why they're telling it to me again. But that's fine. So now we just have to move you a little bit further forwards up there. And who knows what'll happen with it. Actually, speaking of who knows what'll happen, I should save. Let's save the game, so if something goes horribly wrong, then, and like the entire factory is wiped out or something, then we won't be very sad and lose a huge amount of progress. I definitely should do that before poking the bear, as it were. Alright, so we have a little bit more to go. I mean, they are literally just right over there, and there are seemingly quite a lot of them. So, how much closer can we get? It feels like at any point now they're going to start attacking. Like, if I walk up to this, they're going to say you're within range. Okay, no, still apparently safe somehow. This is incredibly close. The good news is that if we have to run, we have a bunch of lines of turrets to run past. So, hopefully we won't die. A little bit further forwards. There's no possible way they let me do this, right? Like, if I'm up to there, their base will just be fully within range of my...
Destroyed.
Yeah, okay, that's expected. That is fully expected. Yeah, can you just, like, not rebuild that? Alright. High energy laser towers. We actually need to, like, figure out how these things work. So you do 400 damage. You have 860 HP and armor, which I assume is negligible. So my missile turrets, for comparison, let's see, they have 560 HP, and they shoot missiles 2.5 per second, and the missiles do like 20 some damage, whereas these do 400. Alright, yeah, there's just no reasonable way of dealing with those guys then. At least not, like, directly. So the relay station is, like, the important thing, right? That's, like, their base that they'll murder me if I try to destroy it. Alright, so the good news is we've managed to get incredibly close to them. And we should be able to just, like, set up a thing here that will just, like, lure them so that this can be, like, our main defensive spot right past where they are. At some point I had some, like, fanciful theory about, like, boxing them in entirely. That seems like that would take a lot of resources to do, but it wouldn't be impossible. Just, like, create a circle of missile and gun turrets around their base so that they just can't get anywhere near the rest of the planet. Alright, let's just say that this is going to be where we are for now, and if we set up another pair of missile turrets here. Then there, and there. It actually doesn't say, does it? No, it doesn't say the range of their laser turrets, which is concerning. We know it's like
Upgrade complete.
up to here-ish. Can I remove that? Yes. So we know it's up to there-ish. They can definitely shoot. But they don't do anything back here. So I guess that is going to be sort of our... I guess this can be like our new main line of defense. And if we even get other defensive equipment up here, like a relay tower and some other stuff, then we can really just like make this the spot where they would need to attack.
Flight mode.
Which would be nice. And if not, we have a couple extra random turrets as well. But for now, we can basically just build freely up to that point, and we don't need this... Actually, can I just like copy this whole defensive thing, including the battlefield analysis base if possible? So I just copy that into the blueprint, and this is going to be defensive line with the signal for a battlefield analysis base and defensive line. Save that as a blueprint. Okay, so now we can just tear this out entirely. And we'll get to see if blueprints also care about the items within buildings. And we need to put that power pole back so that this whole road is charged. So now we run up this way, and then out here we can set up the defensive line, which we just pop in there, put some foundation to finish it off. Hopefully this range is far enough for them to not bother us with their turrets. Okay, so it's all been built up, and now we just need you to get those and you to get those. Okay, so now this is too close, it seems. Or maybe it's just the right amount of closeness, who knows. We're definitely doing some stuff out here. And we're also definitely going to run out of missiles at this rate. But actually our missile turrets have the range to blow up their stuff from a distance. Okay, so this is actually good, right? So we just need to,
Flight mode.
first of all, supply a lot more ammo before they run out. And second of all, just like see what happens if we just continue creeping forwards into the base.
Flight mode.
So at some point they're not going to be happy about it, and they're going to like explode everything. Okay, so now we're back, and you get just plenty of stacks of those, and you get interceptors. So this is... they're really, really not happy about this. They're extraordinarily unhappy about this, as a matter of fact. I do not know how sustainable this is. I mean, it seems to be working quite well. We're getting a lot of soil piles. Okay, so I think the problem might be like the battlefield analysis base, or maybe just like this one missile turret. Our gun turrets are no longer have the ammo to participate. Alright, can we get... I don't know if we're going to have the range for this, or if it'll just get completely obliterated. But if we can... Gosh, it's loud, isn't it? If we get... Where are... I could have sworn I had logistics bots in my inventory, but apparently I don't. Oh, I see. They built a new high-energy laser tower right there. And now it's just barely within this one missile turret's range. And so now we're doing all this stuff again. Well, we have 107 stacks of rocket stuff, so it should last a while. And we're actually getting like a non-trivial amount of resources out of this, which is nice at least. But I suspect that this is going to eventually cause problems. So what other military stuff do we have? We can make laser turrets at some point to not have to worry about the ammo drain, probably. And that would be quite helpful for this sort of unhinged situation. Okay, let's see if we dismantle you. I think you were the one who was like super antagonizing them by having range on their stuff. So if we can just... Actually, is there a way of configuring you for... I don't know, maybe? I think they're just going to keep attacking. But it seems like the ammo lasts a good long while. So that's cool. I'd love you to request missiles from other things. And there's apparently one available route, although it might be out of range. So if we're going to be getting missiles automatically brought up here, that would be quite handy. Okay, yeah, this is just like a forever war at this point. That's just going to keep going for the foreseeable future. Occasionally they get a chip in, but the battlefield analysis base is cool, so we don't have to worry about that. So what was this laser turret, which we can use to not be constantly expending missiles? It's all stuff we already have. Okay. So that should be our priority right now, since we're actively fighting. And we're going to get that set up. Hopefully all those missiles will last long enough. And hopefully they don't retaliate over this.
Upgrade complete.
Alright. Another random explosive weapons damage up will actually be useful. Alright, so laser turret is now being constructed. So we need steel plates, plasma exciters, circuit boards, photon combiners. So, first up, steel plates, because I know those are going to be quite close, right? Because I used them recently. Yeah, here they are. Okay, the fact that I'm not getting a continual spam of soil gain... Alright, no, I am still getting soil gain spam, which presumably means that we're doing fine. I guess I'll also start getting more alerts up top if buildings actually get permanently damaged or destroyed beyond my ability to repair them. Alright, so let's hope that we can ignore all that stuff for just a little bit. So we have steel, plasma exciters, green circuits, photon combiners. green circuits are right here. So let's get those brought in. And you just go, and you come down and into there. Alright, plasma exciters, photon combiners. Good news is we're not going to have any shortage of soil piles with all of that going on. Plasma exciters, photon combiners. I think both of those have only been used like 1 or 2 times each, so it's going to be tricky to spot them. Plasma exciters, photon combiners. I see photon combiners here, and they go out onto this belt, which actually goes... Okay, I know it goes up to here and then stops. Okay, so now we get all of this stuff forwards. And we just keep on bringing it forwards. And it just keeps on going until we're about here, where it can go into a splitter and then do the normal stuff. I wonder what happens when the battlefield analysis base gets completely filled up. I wonder if that's going to cause an issue or if it'll just be fine. Okay. So, photon exciters, check. Actually, were those photon exciters? Photon combiners. Plasma exciters are the other one, right? And they're relatively cheap. So let's fly down this way and just look for wherever they get built. Along the left, we should see their symbol somewhere. Yeah, okay, back here. We've got these guys. They go forwards up to here. And now we just expand them across. And there's a random power pole there. Curses. Okay, but this is... We can work around this. We just need to slope down, go around the power pole in this area, and then slope back up. And now it's fine. So now we can just continue going forwards. And that slope, that weird twisty area, shouldn't have any consequences, because of course that whole area has been built already. EM effect plus 5%. That doesn't seem like a lot, but who knows? Could be. Alright, so this just keeps on going. And now here we are. So we put that in, and we get this attached across. Alright, that goes into there. Now we just have to let the construction drones get all this stuff actually built. And we're going to need to recharge at some point, because we've done a fair bit of flying. Okay, so all this stuff gets built. Both of these rows need to be properly finished off. So let's run down and get all that done. It looks like the photon combiners are good. And now we just need to get the plasma exciters. And I don't know why they've all gone all the way down that way instead of these two that are right next to me, but they can do that if that's what they think is best. Core energy is low, so let's stand in here. And it does look like we've gotten all of our construction done. So that's good. Hopefully that will provide us with the stuff that we need. And We're just going to stand here and recharge for a bit. How is power going, by the way? We are currently charging the grid, even with myself charging. Okay, now the laser turrets probably use a lot of power. Work consumption of 3 megawatts each. That's kind of a huge amount, isn't it? So we're going to want to increase power production for that then. So yeah, 3 megawatts compared to, I guess it's like 3 or 4 times as much as the missile turrets, which is still a lot. Although we do have, yeah, so our current like total consumption is like 50 megawatts-ish. Alright, so let's just first run over and confirm that the solar panels are actually working, or the laser turrets are actually being produced properly. And they are. Cool, so let's run down this way and fill in that tiny little gap. And then we make a box to store them in, like so. So this comes out this way and around and into that. And then we only need like 1 stack of them, which is apparently going to be quite a lot. Alright, so let's add that stack of laser turrets into my inventory. And then, how many? I do have some solar panels and accumulators in my inventory, but not that many. But we are going to be doing that expansion now. So we head up here, and let's make a blueprint for this, actually. So if we just go here, click make blueprint, and then just grab, actually we want this to be just something like that, probably. So this will be power grid, actually solar, and let's just do solar batteries. I don't know if the like a slash or anything could mess up the way it saves it or whatever. Solar batteries. There we go. Save that. And now we can just place these, and it'll be way more efficient about foundation stuff. And there. So I don't have enough supplies currently on me to build all these, probably. But we can at least get a lot of them built up. And hopefully this will help with the power grid. It certainly made it a little bit longer. And it being extra long in terms of just like increasing the amount of power output, it also makes it so that some portion of it is in daylight a larger amount of the time. So doing that will actually mean we need the batteries less and less the more it expands. So let's grab more of each. Although we probably actually don't need more accumulators, right? Actually, no, we only have 1. So yeah, let's grab more of both of those. And then fly out to get them built. And then we will, once all these guys are built, we will return to the scene of where all that fighting is happening to see what's going on. Okay, so this all gets built out, and we will just continue clicking these guys in and placing the foundation, which I'm surprised I haven't run out of and had to go back and get yet. Okay, yeah, that probably just happened now. Okay, that should be enough power at least. How much foundation do I have? I have 133, which hopefully will be enough for like basic tasks. Okay, so now let's get over here, stand in a power tower for a little bit, and crazy stuff is still going on over there. But we don't want to go into that on low charge, because then bad things could happen. Yeah, actually they can just... I think they just can't, like, meaningfully prepare attacks, because every time they try to build up units, they just get instantly blown up by my turrets. Which is actually wonderful. It means that we don't have to worry about all that stuff. Alright, we're charged up enough. So now we run forwards. The gun turrets are all out of ammo. The missile turrets are still going fine. And we actually just have, like, a box full of goodies. 47 titanium ingots is actually quite nice. How many of these did we use? Oh, we used almost all of the rocket turrets we delivered. Or the missile sets that we delivered. That's not great. Alright, so laser turrets have much weaker range than the missile turrets. Okay. So, let's see, if we just like... It would be nice if this swarm would end. I'm gonna run back. We do not want these guys running out of missiles. That would be absolutely catastrophic. So we're going to run back and grab another batch of missiles to feed into them. Okay, so we can get just basically every missile that we had at the moment. And then we can run back and put those back in. So yeah, a couple stacks of missiles last a good long while, but really not all that long in the grand scheme of things. And our attempts at getting them to resupply are not working. Okay, so you now have plenty of missiles. Okay, so at this exact moment, we have some time. So we run some power lines up there, and a bunch of laser turrets as well.
Building destroyed.
And okay, that's concerning, but fine. Let's get even more laser turrets in. Alright, so those are all in.
Building destroyed.
But it's not going great against their own turrets. We are.
Destroyed.
Yeah, okay, so this, we need to... Our laser turrets don't have as good range as their laser turrets, so they need to actually be, like, right on top of them. But I think we've destroyed all of their laser turrets that are, like, within range, so now it's just about the power demand, which is currently absolutely brutal. Alright, so let's stand back here and charge up for a bit. The Battlefield Analysis Base has fantastic range for this. And we got 375 Energy Shard. Chemical fuel obtained from dark fog debris. Can it accelerate the speed of the replicator? Oh, so this is a fuel. Okay, interesting. That's neat. Alright. It's remarkably quiet all of a sudden. Some might say too quiet, but I think we've just managed to blow up everything meaningful. And whenever they try to build something new, we just instantly blow it up again. Alright, this is a very Factorio adjacent setup. Alright, so they've spawned another batch of their flying drone guys, which is unsurprising. What's that little blue line above core energy? Is that like my shield or something? Probably something like that. Okay, so now we're up here, and this is all going. And so that is the planetary base there. And if we just, like, creep a little bit further forwards. So, okay, do we have... Yes, so we can actually just grab a stack or two of those. And then if we then put a couple of missile turrets in there, then this should, in theory, be able to directly attack the base itself. Or at least get a lot closer. Okay, can you low priority to low air units? I kind of want these guys to be just simply targeting the structures and leave the flyers to the laser turrets. Alright, so Raider camps are now being destroyed, as is the base itself is now taking damage. And another random laser tower, which was out of range previously as well. So you still have 8 shots. I gave you 12 to begin with. You're sort of like the main one who's actively doing stuff. Okay. Yeah, it seems like only this one is actually within range to do stuff, so let's move you a little bit forwards and grab another... It's so hard to, like, click on the box itself. Grab another stack of those. And if we just put you here and you there, then the two of you should be able to just cover the base itself much better.
Darkfog base core destroyed.
Alright. Darkfog base core destroyed. Very cool. And how is the power supply going? It is currently charging, which is a good sign. And the last little bit is mostly blown up. There's just a couple things over there which we're going to need to deal with. And then we need to somehow remove the core driller, and there's some other stuff we can do with that. Okay, so now there's like just that one laser turret over there, which is still functional. So we need to move up close enough to it. If we just like put our own laser towers in there.
Building destroyed.
Yeah, so we need more. If we wanted to win the laser tower war, we're going to need more, which is going to mean getting space up here. Alright, no. Apparently just rebuilding that one a couple times is done.
Unstoppable no matter what dark fog does. After a long night, here comes the dawn.
Alright.
We've completely destroyed a planetary base. Dark Fog Core Driller can't stop us from expanding factories on its ruins. You can bury the driller by using foundation.
All right.
Yet a great amount of soil piles
Success.
will be
We
consumed.
lost a couple laser turrets, but that's fine. Okay, so now we've done that, and there's still the relay station up there. If your planetary base is destroyed, its relay will try to rebuild it if there's enough remaining matter and energy.
Dark Fog base core destroyed.
If the central core of a hive is destroyed, relays will send heavy barges to reconstruct the core. Okay, so basically, what I'm getting out of this is that, like, this is just going to sit here and exist, and that's going to sit up there, and if we don't want to mess with it, or else we might have to deal with the actual dark fog. So, for now, let's just take some of these turrets and just like create a nice solid row around you and put in a bunch of laser turrets. Okay, so now if they try to build stuff here, it'll just get zapped instantly. And that should be fine. Alright, I believe we are officially safe now. And if we bring some foundation and like a billion soil piles, we can remove the core driller, which
Flight mode.
I guess probably just prevents this entire planet from being useful to them, and then maybe the relay station will just leave. But I'm quite happy with that, so this planet should be safe-ish now. It says, you know, core destroyed. Now, the space hive is, I can't help but notice that this is up to 0.2%. And I don't know what causes that, but probably the fact that I destroyed a bunch of stuff by it is what's making it unhappy. Okay, so let's just sit back and recharge, and if the space hive wants to become a problem, we just need to make...
Dark Fog base core destroyed.
Okay, the fact that that pop-up just happened makes me think that probably they like tried to rebuild it and my laser turrets instantly zapped it. Okay, so that... the space hive threat is going up probably whenever that's destroyed. So we're going to need a planetary shield generator probably. So fortunately this is all stuff we have. So we just need to pick up the items, so the steel and the whatever those other things are. You just pick those up, manual craft one, and then hopefully that will be able to defend us from space. If not, then the planet will probably be destroyed, but that's fine. Alright, supermagnetic ring is the next thing that we need. So let's fly back here until we find some of those. Here they are. We can pick up a bunch of them and craft you up. And we can even craft up another one if we pick up more particle combiners or containers or whatever. Now, I did say there was a limited number of them that could exist on the planet at a time. But hopefully limited is large enough that it's not an issue. Okay, so let's... the thing is, I don't know what these do exactly, or like how much of this we're going to need.
Flight mode.
So let's just go over here. Like, this is definitely our most defended spot, and this is still only at 608. So okay, so they just built a thing there, and now that's up to 617. Okay, so I think maybe if I'm actually going to fly back and pick up some foundation, then it's going to use a ton of soil, but we should be able to block off that core driller, and then hopefully the relay will leave and stop antagonizing the space hive unnecessarily. That's my hope. I don't know if that's actually how that works at all. So, for extra security, I'm also going to be building our planetary shield generator, and I need just like a better power grid for my mech. Like, have the fact that I can only fly for like short amounts of time before I have to stop and recharge is very annoying. Alright, so these take, when idle, 12 megawatts of power. That probably breaks the grid, if I had to guess, but shouldn't be a huge issue if we just continue expanding our solar panels. So we just placed down a huge number of solar panels. The grid should get fixed, even with this. So we're just going to have to spend some time doing that. And our poor soil pile collection is going to be completely annihilated by filling in this core driller. But I think that will just instantly prevent dark fog from having the space hive continue to generate threat, I think. Alright, so now we just fly up to here, and we are all the way here.
Dark fog base
It's
core
destroyed again. Click. That's filled in. Alright. So that's filled in. And yeah, it looks like that's actually the relay thing leaving now. Alright. Mission accomplished. Now, in this exact same spot, we are going to place down a planetary shield generator.
You've enabled your first planetary shield generator. It consumes power from the power grid to generate a protective field against space attacks.
Okay.
Each generator has a limited coverage area. To expand the range of the field,
So
you
it
can build several more of these generators.
is draining a huge amount of power, but it has a limited protection range, and we're like on exactly the wrong part of the planet for this to be helpful. And I don't actually know what its protection range is going to be, but it looks like we can build like 80 of them on the planet. So I'd imagine it has to get up to this point in order to turn on. Show shield contour, but the shield doesn't exist yet, so okay, it's about to theoretically be active now. Yes, okay, so now it is expanding its bubble. I wonder how big this is going to be. So then it'll hit normal, and then it'll go into a power buffer, and then it'll fill up. Okay, so the planetary shield is taking all the power, and that's concerning. It is, like, it's not tiny at least, although it seems like, yeah, so this only fills with power when we have room for it. Alright, let's head over to the solar panel stuff and start getting more of those in, because we're definitely going to need more than just the one planetary shield. We're probably going to have to move it to a strategic location, and that's going to cause problems. So we just continue putting this in, and oh, we can click foundations fill depressions only, I think. So now we can go about this. Not enough soil pile. Uh-oh. Okay, well, we got a couple more of those in, but we're gonna need to get more soil piles somehow, which ordinarily you're kind of supposed to do it by fighting dark fog for them, but dark fog, we wiped them off the planet, so we're gonna have to do that somewhere else somehow, like on a different planet, which isn't completely unreasonable. Let's look at this tutorial. To hold up a planetary shield, you must first build a planetary shield generator. It's got a big reservoir in it, and it takes time to charge and activate. And then it has its energy reservoir, and then it'll eventually shrink if collapsed if you don't have enough energy to power it. Planetary shield generator can cover 4% of the planet at maximum, and then when it takes damage, it loses energy reservoir, and it takes 2 kilojoules, or 200 kilojoules, thank you for that line break in the middle of a number, to defend against 1 damage. Okay, so that is kind of spooky, but the good news is I think this has stopped growing. So I think until we antagonize...
A landing relay station detected.
Oh, a landing relay station detected on Agena 2. Is that where I am? I think I'm on like Agena 4, right? Okay, I guess the one that I destroyed just packed up and moved somewhere else. That's unsurprising. Okay, yeah, you can do that. I don't really care. Okay, so your shield contour. I wish I could see it from a better angle, but it looks like it is fully sized at this point, and its coverage is not great, and it's in a useless spot. So let's take you down, because we don't need to defend like literally just a random pointless patch of dirt. We don't really need to defend much until we know like what they're going to be attacking us with, but what we would want to do is come like over here, and then hopefully these will be able to just like defend our main production areas. So you can go in, and you aren't within power radius, so let's get a guy in for that.
Flight mode.
So now we have that, and let's fly a little bit over this way. And I think this is a good spot for it, probably. Actually, I don't know if I want to have 2. We'll just have the one set up for now, I think. And then if Dark Fog wants to make an issue of it here, then that'll be a thing for later. Okay, so we are continuing to do that. Enhanced structure, durability of every unit. Very cool. So now, like, we're basically at the point with, like, 1 or 2 minor exceptions where we literally cannot research anything at all except with fancy science. Alright. Total power generation of 100 megawatts. This apparently qualifies as a medium factory. Very cool. Okay, so here's the thing. We don't have soil piles anymore because we had to use all of them to tell Dark Fog to leave us alone. So the good news is that Dark Fog doesn't currently care about us. The bad news is that it's very difficult to build with all this freaking water everywhere without a huge amount of soil piles. Also, I'm still not 100% sure that this planetary shield isn't going to like completely obliterate our power grid. But we've made significant progress towards... I mean, we can't justifiably say that we're circumnavigating the world, but it is kind of getting there. Like, our solar panel grid is big enough that it's not going to be super common for there to be literally no solar power production, and we can just keep expanding that if we had the soil to do so. So, let's start moving on. I think it is probably time to start looking at yellow science. And really, we're going to have to be making science on the bus in general. So, oh, we got like halfway through making planetary logistics stations, and then we just sort of gave up. So that's fine. Okay, so we still have some researches to do. We can do that one, and that one. But then the two that are unlocked from those take yellow science, which means that once those two are done, we will literally just be finished with all the science up to this point. So, actually, hang on. Let's queue up, because there is one last science that we can do with this, which is unlocking yellow science. And let's actually move that to the front. And you require diamonds and titanium crystals, is what I think those are, right? Titanium crystals, diamonds, yes. Okay. So yellow science is going to be tricky, because we're going to need... Somehow we're going to need to get a bunch of titanium crystals. The diamonds are easy, right? Like, we've already been working with those. They're just like straight from coal.
Flight mode.
But who knows what we're going to do about the titanium crystals. So how's our shield at this point? It's very difficult to see what the actual radius of the shield is. Equivalent durability of 13,000. Well, at least... Hopefully at least some of that will be marginally helpful. Who knows, but it could be. So, now let's start doing science production, shall we? So, how do we want science production to work? Actually, wasn't there like a whole... Yeah, there was a whole second tier of assembly machines which we could be making now. We have all the inputs for them, but it's not exactly urgent. And then there's all these other things which exist. Planetary logistics being the big one, obviously. Let's see. We need titanium plates for those. And we need titanium for our yellow science when that eventually comes up. Yeah, let's see here. What does yellow science give? And is it worth rushing straight to that so that we can do other things? Interstellar logistics only needs 120 structure matrices and can let us automatically set up to import from other planets. So that seems useful. Although we will also need high-strength titanium alloy, which should be fine. And then all of these are mostly all prereqs for other things. And what comes out of here? Miniature particle colliders. Sounds fun. Satellite power distribution system needs some fancy thing. And then we've got extra missile stuff. Alright, so really the big thing is the interstellar logistics, which makes going to other planets actually a thing that can happen. And apparently also gas giants exploitation shortly after that. So, okay, let's get set up for the various science productions. So what do we need for that? We need EM coils, or magnetic coils, and green circuits. We need graphite and hydrogen, and we need diamonds, which is more graphite, and titanium ingots, which is just titanium. Okay, so is this going to be done on the main bus? All of these things aren't like horrifically complicated. I think doing them on the main bus makes sense just because it's designed to work that way. When we eventually, like a million years from now, get the next type of matrix, which is gravity matrix, then it'll be a problem because we'll have to like move all them around. But okay, there's also information matrix, which somehow only requires blue and red, despite its prerequisites requiring yellow. Who knows why they did that? But yeah, so eventually we're going to need to get other types of matrices, but yellow should have us relatively covered. I wonder, actually, if we put the matrices on the bus. Okay, here's a thought. We have the matrices production on the bus so that we can make use of all the items here. But the actual matrices themselves can get sent off they can just get sent off down into this area, or maybe up into this area actually, for the actual research. And that will mean that when we get more types of matrix later on, we can just route those up to it instead of having to do extra stuff. That seems quite convenient. Okay, so fortunately I happen to be carrying a massive number of matrix labs. So let's get this set up so we get 2 of you and matrix lab. This Tesla tower is unfortunately both important and in the way, so you're gonna have to move. You can be probably no, up there could break things too, and those also need to not be in that exact spot, because we need them to have their whole output thing. We don't want them to get in the way of other buildings. So this can start back here, and these can stack vertically pretty dang high. So that is somewhat excessive, I would wager. I cannot imagine being able to, like, even feeding that many items in and out is a lot. But it should be doable at least. So then, unlike the previous ones, you need to have... Okay, yeah, no, we were going to be sending the research up north of the belt. I think that's north anyways. So, if you're going like that, the tower can just squeeze in there. And if we need to do more stuff elsewhere, then we will. So you are set up to do a blue matrix. And because of how many of these are stacked, I'm going to assume we need sorter mark 3s, which I'm pretty sure I automated, but I just never brought into the inventory. So let's get those set up. And okay, we actually get soil piles for paving over this stone. So we have some number of soil piles again, which will be helpful. So now we just have to get all these guys connected up. So that goes up there. You go down and into that. So that is green circuits supplied. Now we need the magnetic coils, which could be pretty far back, I think. It's so hard to spot them. But they should be, like, on the same sort of area as the green circuits, I think. So those are the magnets. Yeah, here's the magnetic coils. There we go. So this belt goes forwards. And it goes a great distance forwards. I wish I could upgrade these darn construction drones to go even faster. But they're still reasonably quick, all things considered. They're not... They might be marginally slow. They're marginally slower than, like, Factorio drones, but that's... It's pretty close, though, so not exactly a big deal. So all this stuff gets built, and it's kind of funny to go, like, past all of these 10 billion fancy, complicated stuff just to make blue matrices, like the simplest possible science. And we're also, if we're going to get any reasonable speed out of this, we're going to have to expand production of a bunch of things, probably. But we will figure out what the limiting factor is once it's all sort of coordinated and brought in place. And we'll be able to just look at it and see instead of having to guess. And obviously there's going to be a limit to how much we can accelerate it. But we can add more... We can theoretically add more rows of belts to the bus by stacking them vertically on top of the existing ones. Okay. So you are doing all that. And outputs blue science. So then we will, I guess, set up the red science belt right next to it. So you... Red science is graphite and hydrogen, so that's also 2 inputs. So you get a belt of input, and then we make our massive stack of towers and put a power pole in front of it. Okay, let's find our box of sorters, which I'm pretty sure exists. Here we are. Okay, so you're here, and we need to clear that previous setup out, and instead have you be providing those. And now we can just pop those into our main inventory instead of the weird spot over there. And now we have plenty of tier 3 sorters to make these belts go super fast. So you produce red matrices. And then you need your second input belt over here, which runs along like that. And those two connect in, and now we just have to go and find... Actually, let's just build the output belt while we're at it. And can we... I don't know if spray coating does anything for this. Let's see, so you are... Proliferator effects, extra product. And yes, so it is used in research mode. It produces extra hashes. So we can use Proliferator to make our science better. So that's very convenient. So let's extend that belt out a little bit and extend that belt out a little bit so we can figure out how to squeeze these spray coaters on correctly. Which I believe you line up like that, and you line up like that. And yes, that is correct. So now all that stuff goes in, and we have the ability to make extra fancy science when it's time to do so. So now we need to grab our graphite and hydrogen belts, which I have no idea where those could possibly even be, but they're probably around somewhere. And it looks like we are struggling to keep up on the photon combiner production. Okay, here is hydrogen. So we run this forwards, and it just goes down this way, and I'm worried we're not going to actually have much hydrogen production because it's going to be bottlenecked by that other thing, which I have no idea how we're going to solve that problem. I can't even remember what the other thing is. I just called it that other thing. But, so that belt is in. That'll give us some hydrogen, and we are very occasionally getting more hydrogen. Concerning, but hopefully not catastrophic. Alright, we need to recharge real quick. So let's stand next to you. And let's check. This is still at 626 where it was probably like half an hour ago, so definitely now that Dark Fog has left this planet alone, they're not going to be mad at us ever again, hopefully. Although I don't know how that whole hive level thing works. We might... Like, we don't really have any meaningful capacity to fight them, but we might need to at some point. Alright, so we are now recharged and looking for graphite. There's actual coal down there. I think the graphite... Here it is. It's this belt here. There's standing right on top of it, as is often the case when you're looking for things. Or at least is often the case when I'm looking for things.
Flight mode.
Okay, so now we can just, like, get this built. Oh, and the power grid is gone yellow. Yikes. And it's extremely yellow at this point. We actually are discharging, but not fast enough. Well, that's terrifying. So energy accumulated is dropping off now. Alright, so we're going to need to pause what we're currently doing to fix the power grid issue, which we did get a bit more soil for. So hopefully we'll be able to place more stuff in.
Flight mode.
Alright, let's fly up here to the solar panels and blueprint solar batteries. Okay, wait, we can do that to save on foundations, I think. I was trying to figure out how to do that because we kept the thing we copied had foundations in it. Okay, and we're already just instantly out of soil piles. Or at least not enough soil piles to do that. But we can continue along doing this. And... Alright, that will have to be a start for now. We need to pick up the solar panels to do with all this stuff. So let's run over to grab some solar panels. And actually charging the mech right now is going to be difficult because the power grid is messed up. Alright, solar panels are right in here, but only 50 of them, and we need 70 some for that to be completely finished. Alright, so we can charge a little bit. We're most of the way to 100% sufficiency right now. So yeah, I think it's partially a day-night thing. Yeah, it's definitely like in large part day-night, and also a large part the silly planetary shield, which I feel like maybe we even just take that out because it's drawing a lot of power and we can't use it because Dark Fog isn't even messing with us yet. But we should probably just leave it in. We're going to need the power eventually. We're going to need way more power eventually. So, yeah, let's see here. We are fully charged up, and the accumulators have 0 power right now. Accumulators have literally 0 power in them, and they're probably going to stay that way for a while. Alright, so now we're at 70 solar panels, and we just need a couple more. So let's fly down and get all of those blueprints placed. You can see them awkwardly through the planet, which is real weird, but whatever. So we fly down here, and we just have to get all these solar panels placed in, and hopefully that will at least mostly solve the problem. I placed in a huge number of them, so it should make a huge difference. But at the end of the day, it is still just a relatively thin row of solar panels around the planet. So that is all going in, and now we're just down here at the end where we still don't have the resources for things, but we are now charging the accumulators again, and we need to connect this set of power. We actually need to get it over connected up to the other guys. Okay, so now it's all connected up, and the ridiculous planetary shield is taking all excess power, and we have almost nothing in storage. But it's got to be, like, it's taking so much power, it's got to be done soon, right? So now we can fly over here, because theoretically it should only be like 12 megawatts, like, over time. So this massive consumption demand should eventually end. And our current generation is very good. But if it's going to start to drop off with nighttime, then who knows what will happen with that. It looks like it is starting to drop off a bunch. So let's get those last couple solar power things, and then, I mean, we can honestly just, like, keep expanding, right? There's no reason not to, really. Just keep putting solar panels absolutely everywhere. Although, I guess the reason not to is because we only have 20-some solar panels. We haven't... We've been placing a bunch lately. So let's finish this off. I wonder at what point is it going to be faster to go around that way? Probably pretty close to being the case, honestly, and it might already be. But for now, we're going to go around this way. At some point, we're going to have to fill in this gap once we have the dirt for it. It's not really a big deal, though. Okay, so now we're over here. And this last little chunk gets built up. And, alright, the planetary shield seems to Okay, it seems like it's actually very, very close in terms of how much power we're producing right now. But our generation can go way higher than it currently is, so we should be in the clear. The planetary shield seems like it's mostly done now, and energy is actually going into
Flight mode.
distributors. All right, we need to get back to somewhere with a charging tower. So we can now stand here to recharge a little bit. Yeah, this game has a lot of standing around to recharge. Now, I could fix that, like, with... if I just buckled down and made a bunch of, like, hydrogen fuel rods or something, then I could potentially just ignore that. Or, like, explosive units or, you know, some better form of that, but it should be fine as is. Actually, the power grid is still incredibly scuffed somehow. Generation capacity is very low during the night, but it does still exist. But we are at like 40% capacity, which is wild. It's like genuinely catastrophically bad at that point. We're hardly producing anything, and I don't even think I'm getting charged that much. Alright, so again, the idea is that some of our solar panels will be in the daylight most of the time. And that is the case, like these solar panels over here are daylight, but the entire rest of this stretch is in nighttime. And we're not halfway around the planet yet, so
Mineral
it's
depleted.
going to continue being like that for the foreseeable future. But the sun is rising, power is starting to show up again, and we should be all clear now. So let's fly down, check. You're almost completely filled. You're like most of the way up with your power buffer. So that should be fine. Let's get this belt constructed and go back to what we were doing. Hopefully, once the shield is done charging, we will be able to power our accumulators and not have the whole power grid collapse every night. And that should theoretically be happening pretty soon. Alright, so that was the graphite. Right, we were making red science before we got distracted by the power grid stuff. We're making red science, we have the graphite, we have technically a small amount of hydrogen, which we're going to need to fix, but let's just get this set up and designed first. So you need a splitter somewhere, like there would be convenient. And you need a splitter somewhere up there-ish. Okay, so now we just have to connect those guys into their splitters and then bring their splitters down into the machines. So that is all set up. The planetary shield is still taking every single ounce of excess power. I really just want to be charging accumulators instead of doing all that. Alright, so this theoretically works. Hydrogen supply is still kind of on life support. So we're going to need to figure out how to fix that.
Flight mode.
And that is going to be... Okay, let's just check this. It's like most... Can I just set it to not store as much power? That would be real convenient. Okay. So this fill ratio is a progress of planetary shield expanding to form the maximum spherical shape. Left click to switch the display. Defense coverage is percentage of the area on the planet that is covered by the shield. Okay, I have no idea what that means. So defense, coverage, fill ratio. Okay, well, we're just going to have to wait for the planet. I wish there was just a way of telling the planetary shield, like, yeah, you can charge, but, like, stop overcharging. Your power buffer can go up so very high, and I just don't need it to at all. Like, I would really rather you not take every single ounce of excess energy, if that were at all possible. Because it's causing problems for the factory, but it seems like there's not like an easy setting to do that, so we're just going to have you chill for a bit while we run over this way. Alright, so this is the machine which makes our hydrogen, right? So you make refined oil and hydrogen from crude oil. And we have more than enough refined oils. Alright. What does one do with refined oil? Is that even... Am I blind? Where's the refined oil on this? Oh, it's... This is the recipe. Okay, so... This is the recipe which produces all the stuff. Refined oil and hydrogen. If we take the refined oil and some hydrogen, we can turn one refined oil into one hydrogen, one graphite, which is actually relevant here, right? Because that's, first of all, getting rid of refined oil, which lets more hydrogen production happen, and also just directly giving us more hydrogen production. Now, the other thing we can do with refined oil, we could like turn it into plastic, which is something we probably will need at some point. We can... Yeah, so I think it's mostly just plastic production and X-ray cracking. So let's just set up both of those. I mean, we're going to need plastic at some point for something, right? It's not going to be completely useless. It gives us explosive units and organic crystals, both of which are probably helpful. Yeah, we need organic crystals to make titanium crystals, apparently.
Flight mode.
So let's... Wait, I don't know why I flew away. I need to grab the refined oil. Oh, look at that. The power grid just flickered. Hate to see it. If only we were doing anything useful with our surplus power instead of charging up the shield. Okay, we're just gonna try to ignore it, and it'll get fixed eventually. So this is our refined oil belt, and it goes out here. What on earth is going on here? So it goes out to here. This is very complicated and gross. But it's this belt which just goes forwards from here. Okay. So we can take this belt forwards, and that's going to... Just having this at all is going to give me a burst of hydrogen. Yeah, this whole hydrogen stuff is going to be very complicated to deal with, because like it's all got side effects and stuff, the fluid production lines. So it's not as simple as just running things along on the belt and just calling it a day. Like the... what's it called? I don't know why I have a conveyor belt in my hand. Let's get rid of that. So the X-ray cracking is going to give us graphite, which we need for plastic and for energy matrices. So that shouldn't be an issue. So I think what we do is we have the X-ray cracking early in the line before the plastic production, so that we can take the graphite from that and use it for the graphite. So now this goes forwards. Just have to continue building this forwards. We're going to need to use priority settings on our splitters to get that to work, but it shouldn't be an issue. Okay. So now we go over here, and we need to do X-ray cracking. So, first of all, we need a... What building is that in? X-ray cracking is in a refining facility, which is probably oil refinery. So we can just grab one of those, pop you in. I've already forgotten what inputs this has. So X-ray cracking recipe, it's refined oil and hydrogen. Okay, so we get 2 input belts, there and there, and we get 2 output belts, there and there. Now, one of the outputs is the same as the input, but in larger quantities. So, let's actually move you down to there, let's say. And we can have a splitter here, I think. Okay, yeah, this is going to be a bit convoluted. So we do want the spray coater, I think. So that goes in there. And I guess the other one goes in there. We're going to have to go and pick up more spray coaters in a minute, because those were our last 2. But it shouldn't cause a crisis. So that just goes across to all of that, and then out the other side. Okay, so our belts go into here, and what are you doing? Okay, we are accidentally building that belt at altitude 1. So you attach into that spray coater. You attach into that spray coater. Now, immediately after this, we need to... Yeah, this is actually a wee bit complicated. So we need to take this. This needs a splitter. And if it's in this area, we shouldn't run into any... Okay, no, I think we actually want to build this entire thing back slightly. And that is including the spray coaters, because we need just more space to work with. So these 2 spray coaters are going to be there instead.
Research complete.
Alright, we've officially unlocked the structure matrix, so that's cool. And now we have to get all this stuff set up. So you go down to there, and then back up to there. Okay, so that will be back on track. And except for the fact that it's going down to the wrong level for no good reason, you need to stay up, nice and comfortable at altitude 1. Am I saying altitude 1.01 for some bizarre reason, but there we go. So now that's fixed. Okay, so now we have a little bit extra space, and we can use that extra space to put in a splitter. Actually, I think we want it to be this type of splitter. So this output here goes forwards and into that splitter, which then goes there. And that is input priority 1. And then that is output priority 1. Okay, but then our actual output is this, which needs to go forwards into the hydrogen area. Except that this needs to be... Well, okay, it doesn't need to be further back, but I would like it to be further back so it can feed into the red matrices production.
Mineral depleted.
Which we can do just by having this... this is incredibly scuffed, but it's fine. So you hop over that, come around to here, and then go in. Now, let me think. We want one of these to be a priority. I think we want the fresh production, so the top one, to be the priority. And then this will just cycle around and produce extras if needed. Maybe? I don't know. We'll have to fiddle with that to see how it works. So then this needs to be output priority left, and then right as a secondary, so it'll keep itself running in its little internal loop, and then output the excess. Okay, so then we need this to bring the refined oil in. So this can just come down here, and I've managed to make this terrible, but we can do that to feed the refined oil in. And I don't know why that last one didn't confirm in. Oh, it's because the splitter is there. Yeah, no, everything about this particular setup... This particular setup, like, is just a nightmare in every possible way that something could be a nightmare. Oh, hang on, I just realized this is the wrong output for the refined oil belt. It's supposed to be the lower output, which comes over there, and then goes up to there, and then down. Okay. So now we can power that whole setup, which also reconnects everything over there in case that was important. And then we bring these belts down, feed them in, and you... I could have sworn I set this already, but you are set to do X-ray cracking. And if I just, like, yoink some hydrogen, pop it in there. So that should make more hydrogen. This is apparently production speed up mode. Alright, so then I wish I hadn't done that. Okay, so we actually need to have these belts be filtered properly. So you and you. Okay, it almost worked, but it didn't quite. So this is set filter for energetic graphite. This is set filter for hydrogen. And now we just have to take those off. It mostly assigned them to the right belts by chance, actually. So now the hydrogen loops back around. And somehow I managed to get both of these sorters connected up to the wrong one. So you go into there. And then we need to just, like, manually fill this again to get it cycling properly. Okay, so now we are getting a couple cycles in a row, and it looks like it's going fine. And there we go. So now we are producing graphite and more hydrogen, and we're using up the refined oil. So that should get that going. Yeah, so the hydrogen stockpiles are moving backwards a bit. And that should be all fine. And now we just need to... Let's see, so the hydrogen output is already connected up. Now we need to get the graphite output connected up. So this goes out here over all of those. Just over all of those without ever going all the way up to level 1. And then you go around and into that, where you, I believe, will take input priority. Okay, so now whenever anything needs energetic graphite, that won't be an issue. And we are already... should be producing any minute now, yes. We have hydrogen going around this whole complicated loop. And now feeding these. And I never set you up to actually output the red cubes. So you can do that. And that will also have you run for a short while. Alright, so that should be blue and red cubes set up. So our next thing that we want to do, we wanted to make plastic real quick, right? And is that anything fancy? Chemical facility. Okay, so that is chemical plant, which apparently I don't have. Alright, chemical plant needs glass and stone bricks on top of stuff that I'm already carrying. Okay, also, how's the power grid going? We have 13 gigajoules accumulated. The planetary shield not taking much anymore, just a couple kilowatts. Now, generation is incredibly borderline because it's nighttime, but we have power. We have power storage, so it should be okay. So now let's stand here by a charging thing. Are you fully done? Basically, yeah, it looks like it. If not, you're incredibly close at least. So now we just have to find the stone bricks and the glass to manual craft a chemical facility. And at some point, this is going to need to be automated. But for now, we can just leave it. Alright, so stone bricks and glass should be, like, all the way down this way. Unless it's like you... Unless we used it somewhere. Then it might be pulled up a bunch. Okay, is that glass? Yes, so that's glass. So we can yoink a bunch of glass from there. And now we need to start scanning for stone bricks. Yeah, there they are. Grab a bunch of stone bricks from there, and let's make us some chemical plants. We can make 2, so that the next time we need to do this, we'll have 1 as well. But these are another thing which is on our list of going to be automated when we get the chance, so we can just have a stack of 50 of them and not worry about it for a long time. Okay, so now we're all the way over here. And we're going to need to mess around with some of these power towers over here, probably. But hopefully nothing too crazy. Alright, so now we're over here. We get chemical plant in. Let's have it be there-ish, I guess. And you are going to make plastic. And you somehow managed to not be powered up, despite being, like, within a millimeter of 2 different sources of power. So you get your input belt, you get your second input belt, and you get your output belt. And then your output belt is going to get a spray coater on it. Oh, I need to go and grab those. Okay. Up we go to grab some spray coaters. This is rapidly becoming an insanely cumbersome trip every time we have to make it. So up we go. Yeah, I mean, the further the bus runs, the further this is going to take us. So the spray coaters are just over here, and we'll walk the rest of the way to conserve a little bit of power. And did I ever set these up for active distribution? I didn't, but I didn't have the ability to do that anyways, because we don't have enough logistics slots for it. Alright, so we should be all covered now. Let's try to get relatively close to back to where we need to be. And we have to stand here and recharge again. All the standing and recharging, at least it gives me some time to plan, right? So we are making plastic just for the sake of having it, because we'll need it at some point, and it gets rid of refined oil and energetic graphite. But once we have that, we should have a good supply of energy matrices and electromagnetic matrices. And then it is diamonds, which is just graphite, should be fine, and titanium crystals, which are nature crystals and titanium plates, which is significantly less fine. So organic crystals, we need plastic, refined oil, and water. Titanium plates are going to be the big bottleneck here, but I guess once we have them, we can do a bunch of stuff with them. And we do have them automated, right? We have smelters for them over there. We just obviously don't have anything to put in those smelters because we haven't been to the planet that delivers those for a very long time. I actually don't even know. It's entirely possible that Dark Fog has destroyed the base on that planet. It might not have, but it definitely might have. Alright, so back over here for the plastic things. Right, we were setting up the spray coaters, which goes here. And then that just connects in, and then forwards a little bit. Okay, so that is all good, and we just need to get our two sort of annoying things at this point, the refined oil and the energetic graphite. Okay, so the energetic graphite is here, so we set that up. Now these two just go forwards into their new splitters. And then they come down. So you go into there, you go into there, and that should be everything. Oh, we need to get you connected up and powered, which we can just put power pole there for that. And now we just get sorter, sorter, sorter. So that should be plastic. Check. And we'll need those for the nature crystals in a moment. For now, we need to figure out where the furthest out belt even is. And it's the processors, like all the way back here. How is that possible? So this whole blob here is just science stuff. The lasers didn't go on the bus. Surely it should be these. Oh yeah, so I never put these onto the bus. So they need to go out here. This is their designated spot. And that is just as simple as they just run along this way, then loop into that, and problem solved. Okay, then we have... So we have those on the bus. The laser turrets don't go on the bus. The science goes past the bus, but not onto it, because we're going to be doing our science production over in this area. And then this is just producing more of things we already have. So yeah, this is actually the next thing to go on the bus after those. So we just need a splitter lined up on specifically this line. And somewhere in like that. It's a weird giant gap, but it's obviously not going to break anything to have it. So then the plastic can go in, and that should be all covered. So that is going. And then we just will have this start moving forwards a little bit, just so that we can say that it exists. Okay. So that's plastic done. Structure matrix requires titanium crystal, which requires organic crystal, which requires plastic, refined oil, water. So we have plastic there, refined oil there, water, I guess. Do we just like make a water pump? Hopefully we don't need like 5,000 water pumps to get a reasonable amount of water. So we're going to just craft one up and just put it like on this random puddle back here, hopefully. So we go here, and then you can only be placed in a narrow window, and it doesn't exactly tell you where that narrow window is, but we figured it out. So this provides 55 water per minute, and should just never run out, probably. So now water goes on the main bus. Is that really... I feel like we've done water before. I don't know why I think that. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure this is our first time using water. So then that can, I guess, get a spot on the bus, because that's what we do with new resources. This feels like a very silly way of doing this, but here we are. So that just attaches into the splitter, and then that will all go forwards. So then we're going to need to... It's actually kind of space inefficient, but that's fine. It's not an issue. So there goes all the water. And now let's get the organic crystal. Is that also in a chemical facility? Yeah, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? So we get a chemical facility. You go in here. Lined up like this should be fine. And yeah, we will have you take the water in from the bus, just in case some weird reason makes that a good idea. I don't know what that could possibly be, but you never know. So you are going to be making organic crystals, so you need 3 inputs. So that is 1, 2, 3, and an output, which will be going up to there somewhere. And then the spray coater, and the belt from the spray coater into the new one. Okay, so that is all in. Alright, energy storage capacity has hit a new record, which is quite cool. And we are still charging. Still charging a massive amount. So that should be great news for us. Okay, so it's water, sulfuric acid, or water, refined oil, plastic, right? So let's get all of those to just go up here. And let's see, we need to get some landfill for this. Soil pile storage seems to have mostly recovered. We're up to 50k now, which is nice. Okay, so that's 1, that's 2, this is 3. Now, if we want to get all these in reasonably conveniently, it's going to be a little bit awkward to do. So, like, you wrap around to the far input like that. And then you wrap all the way around that one and into the nearer input. And then you can just come out and go in the other side input. And now we just connect belt, belt, belt. So now once all this gets built, we will be finished. Alright, so let's just get that in and then run up to get all of these and then run back down to get the sorters. Okay, there we go. So that should be everything, unless I've messed up horribly, which I hope I have not. So you get a sorter, you get a sorter, you get a sorter, you get an output sorter, and it's making a fun animation, which makes me think that that's working. Alright, organic crystals, check, and they are going to get their own bus lane, which this does just sort of keep the nature of the bus. It just keeps on spiraling out of control, adding lane after lane after lane until you have half of the planet covered by belts. At least we aren't running belts unnecessarily and only building them when we need them. Okay, so that is in. And then its lane goes forwards a bit. Now we take those and titanium plates, which we're going to have to grab from literally the exact opposite side of the planet. Probably actually literally. Hang on. We're here. The titanium plates. Okay, it's like 3/4 of the way to the opposite side of the planet. So that's going to be fun. And I don't even know which row they're on, so I can't like start building from this side or anything. So off we go. We're just going to have to fly down there, build an enormous belt all the way back. We're basically at the point where we can't even like make it all the way in one go, or at least it's kind of it takes a huge amount of charge to make it all the way around the bus. Okay, so now we're here. And the titanium plates do some weird wibbly wobbly nonsense. And then for some reason I messed up how they go here. So you need to get up to altitude 1. So there you are, and now you just travel across. And now we are literally, I think literally incapable of doing any research until we get the new type of matrix built. So we're going to just try to crack that out and get it technically finished at least before the end of the stream. So that goes all the way over to here. And it just keeps going. This sure is taking a lot of belts. Alright, almost there. I can see the other science machines. Alright, so now you're out to there-ish. And now we just have to let all of this stuff get actually built. Which is going to mean just sort of walking back this way and letting our drones do it. And power is getting low, so we're going to have to stop by a charging port at some point soon. Okay, let's just get all this stuff in. Okay, now we can stand in here to receive some power. Energy accumulated is up to almost 30 gigajoules. So we should be... Yeah, I think our power is complete overkill when we don't have a planetary shield actively charging. And I think we also have enough power that, like, if we had the planetary shield actively charge, then it would just run through our storage and not necessarily completely obliterate us like the previous one did. Like, you store 46.8 gigajoules, right? So theoretically we have enough storage to, like, relatively quickly charge one of those up to, like, 2/3 at least. So yeah, that's cool. Alright, we managed to get a decent amount of construction bots going while we were doing that. Now we just have to run over this way and keep the construction going. And we're also going to need to run to the other planet at some point to get an actual supply of titanium plates, because that is all of them that we'll ever have until we do that. But I just want to get all this stuff constructed. So we fly back, follow the titanium plates, and let's see here. Alright, so here we are. We can stand in this while we actually design this next bit. So, titanium crystal is just in an assembler. So we can go back to our nice, convenient blueprint. So you go into there, and then we need to make sure that that connects up, which I'm pretty sure I did right. And now we're charged up, so we can stand right in place and get all this stuff done. Alright. Alright, so that's all set up. We can now pop you in like that and like that. Okay, so you need the titanium crystal, the titanium plates, and the organic crystals. Are you the titanium plates? Yes, you are. So that goes into this, and then just drops down and in. So that is a start. We are going to be getting our 20% extra products or whatever, so it won't be completely hopeless, but we still definitely are going to need a titanium restock. So then we have this belt, which just runs all the way down and in to that input. And then once all this stuff gets built, and these last couple guys up here, that should be the organic crystals done. And that is going to give us titanium crystals, which we can also put onto the belt. So that will be going all the way out to here, because I'm sure we'll have some use for them eventually other than just the science. If not, then that'll just be too bad. Alright, so this all gets built. The belts are all going strong. And titanium crystals now technically on the bus. Okay. So, we have a titanium crystals. We need diamonds, which are just energetic graphite. And I'm pretty sure I haven't done the... Actually, what machine is that in? It's in a smelting facility, because of course it is. Okay, so we need to get arc smelter. And just like a couple of them in here. Like that. Then you get an input and an output. The output gets to be replicated, and then we get a power pole in here to keep them all happy. And you make diamonds. Now we have a bunch of diamonds over in the what's it called? We have a bunch of diamonds in the setup for the replicator itself. But we need some over here on the bus, which I believe we've never done yet. Also, we desperately need to clear out our inventory at some point soon. So, the energetic graphite is back here. And now this belt lane goes forwards over to here. And once it's here, it goes into a splitter, which then brings it down and in. Just like that. Okay, graphite, check. Now we connect all these guys up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That is diamonds on the bus. So we run down this way, put in a splitter, and then bring this all the way up and in. Alright, diamonds on the bus. Next up, we need to turn the diamonds and the titanium crystals into some science. So first of all, that and that definitely just need to go. Then we need a belt here. We need a hilariously large stack of matrix labs here. Like that. And then a belt here. And then an output belt there. Okay. Then we get input there, input there. You are going to be producing yellow matrices. And that will be just these two most recent things, right? Titanium crystals and diamonds. Okay. Yeah, so this is a good way of building that. So you just come down this way and then go into there. And then you just come down this way and go into there. Alright, and then finally we connect those two up to their existing setups. And there we go. They're both in. And we have yellow science being produced. And we have an output. Alright, structure matrices finished. Alright, so that is 3 out of the 5 sciences done. So now, our next step will be setting up
Flight mode.
research lab over here, just on this side of things, out of the way. That can just take all the different types of science and do research with them. So first of all, we are going to research high-strength titanium alloy. So that will be a start. And then you are going to be set to research mode, of course. And now we need to figure out, just have this like expanding up that way, I guess. We can move some of these solar panels if we need to. So we have belts going across like that. They all feed in like that. And a power pole shows up and barely covers the entire thing, but it does cover the entire thing. Okay, so now we just have to bring our science belts up all the way across all of this stuff. And this nonsense with the hydrogen is... This nonsense with the hydrogen and the graphite is not making that easy at all. Okay, what if we have you go up? Okay, I think I know how to fix this. If we have you cut out like that, you just go through there, and then you can loop up across like that. And then this one, if we take that and that out, you can then go up over that, but only to a half step, which means you won't be in the way. Okay, red science passed the belt. Blue science should be easier because it doesn't have all this nonsense going on. But it actually does somehow still have all this nonsense going on. Okay, so we need you to... Let's see, if we just remove you entirely, and we just have you go across like that, and then we have you go across like that. That still looks like it's only going up to half, so we should be in the clear, and now you can just come the rest of the way out. Alright, red and blue science are successfully out. Now we have you loop up to there, and we have you loop up to there. And then we can just let our drones get all this stuff built, and then we will bring the yellow science in. And then hopefully this will all work. And... okay, I actually do want to have some storage. So let's get... actually, the storages can't be exactly next to each other, so we're going to cut out a bit of space in there. Then we get a... how did this work? It was a splitter, and you get a splitter as well. And then you each get a storage crate, and these lines feed into the storage crates. You apparently need to squeeze around all that, and then you're going to need to squeeze around all that. Alright, so now we can store up to, I don't know, a couple stack. Actually, let's just store however much we can possibly store. It's not going to hurt anything. And then... okay, yeah, no. I have all that stuff in my inventory now. It's just going to be impossible to get it out. Alright. Whatever. So now we just have to pull the yellow science up. And around and in. And then we are going to have you have the same thing. So up here, we take all that stuff out, put in a splitter, connect the splitter across, and then give you a storage crate on top. And again, if they can manage to produce 10,000 of it to store, then they can do that. Okay. So, we can pick up a couple of those off of the belts in a somewhat desperate attempt to get all this manual stuff out. But, okay, so all the yellow science we have has just instantly been sent through, and the research is now happening. And unsurprisingly, we have run out of titanium crystals, but the construction is there, and it does work. So, next stream, the first thing we do here is we're just going to have to fly out and pick up 1 billion titanium ore from that other planet we had, and then we will be good to go. We're still charging, by the way. We have so much power stored up now. So yeah, things are going well. Got all the power stored we need. Dark fog, no longer a thing. Who needs dark fog? Everything is good. And our bus is real long at this point. We're very slowly making progress around the planet and eventually up into our solar panel line, which hopefully doesn't become a problem. Now, at some point, we can figure out that a particular resource is never going to be used again and cut it off the belt to condense things, hopefully. But who knows? So yeah, I think that's a good, solid stopping point for the stream. We've got red and blue science aplenty. We've got technically the capacity to produce yellow science once we have resources. And everything is good. So, we will be streaming Factorio again tomorrow. And then we'll be doing back to Dyson Sphere program on Thursday. So I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So, if you are interested in any of that, make sure to stop by then. Give me a follow so you know when I'm live and when I'm playing. And that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.